What is going on, guys? So welcome to this week's patch analysis. Sorry it's a little bit late, so this is Monday evening when I'm recording this. So the patch comes out tomorrow, which I guess isn't too bad because it means that from the time I'm recording this video not much is going to change because they've already made the changes via the PTS. So it does mean that these patch notes should be the finalised ones unless they've not updated them yet, which Hi-Res probably haven't. So they're probably still inaccurate, but we're going to go for it anyway. So I'm quickly going to go through these things at the top because they're sort of awesome skin things, but there's not really any actual analysis to do on them. But it's really cool that we're going to be able to get these Smite World Championship 2016 skins and the Convention 2016 Anubis skin inside a digital loot pack if you can't attend the event. So for people like myself that live in the UK and aren't just going to buy tickets to go over to the World Championships in America, you can still get the skins and all that cool stuff by buying them. I don't know how much they're going to be. Hopefully it's not too much, but that's a really cool thing for them to have added in. Shadow skins are being integrated with the clan honor system. You basically spend honor like favor and get a chest, and that gives you a chance to get the various shadow skins. Just if you want to come on here, I'll leave a link in the description and read about the Smite World Championship stuff, but I'm not going to spend too long on that. So one of those skins has a voice pack as well. Updated god cards, the Father Chris Smash Barkus skin and the Athena Mastery skin have had their god cards updated. Added in a new welcome pack. That's a bit about the clan rewards I was talking about with the shadow skins. Miscellaneous achievements and stuff, not really interested in that. But anyway, so on to item changes, which is where things actually start to get moderately interesting. So Frostbound Hammer. So Frostbound Hammer was an item which has a really strong passive. It slows the enemy and also reduces their attack speed when you auto-attack them. It also gives you some physical power, and used to give you 400 health, however that's being reduced to 325, which I kind of like because this item was really strong on gods like Bologna. It's still going to be really strong, still going to get it. It's not really being nerfed into the ground or anything, but they're reducing the amount of defensive buff it gives you, considering it's designed to be more of an offensive item. Hot Wood Amulet, slight magical protection debuff there. Not too much of an issue. 60 down to 50 isn't an absolute ton, so I think Hotwood Amulet's still going to be a good item to get on a support. If you're taking magical damage, definitely still get Hotwood Amulet because the passive as well helps out your team a lot, giving them physical protection, I believe, in sort of a certain aura radius. I don't know what that radius is, but it's there, so look at it. Mystical Mail, reduce the health from 300 to 220. Again, that's good. Mystical Mail gives you a load of physical protection. It's a really good tanky item, but it also does a lot of damage with its aura. So, again, that has a really useful passive, which is used quite offensively. So they're reducing the amount of sort of defensive stats it gives you, which sort of balances out the item, because you can't really have an item that it does really well offensively and really well defensively. Any item that's sort of hybrid between the two has to sort of give you a little bit of each rather than loads of both, because otherwise it's sort of takes away from those items which are pure defense and pure offense. So I really like that. Pestilence, this one has got me a bit excited because they've increased the healing reduction from 20% to 25%. So that's an aura, so that's going to affect everyone in a certain radius, which is absolutely crazy that that's now 25%. It really shows you that Hi-Res pay attention to the SPL, the Smite Pro League, and they sort of react to what's happening with the meta, because recently there's been a lot of presence of healers, and them buffing healing items like Pestilence just really shows you that they're paying attention, which is always really important as we see Smite continue to grow. So Sovereignty has had the physical protection reduced from 55 to 50. Hi-Res, was that just for the sakes of doing that? Do you really think that's going to make any bloody difference whatsoever? I mean, for all I know, it might make a ton of difference, but that just doesn't sound like a lot to me. I'm sure if you actually look at the numbers, there'll be a slight change, but nothing really much there. But again, Sovereignty is one of those items that's really good on a support because it gives your teammates in a certain radius. It has an aura which gives your teammates in a certain radius magical protections. So it's basically the opposite of Heartward Amulet. It gives the wearer physical protection and then gives allies magical protection, whereas Heartward Amulet gives the wearer magical protection and then gives the allies in a certain radius physical protection. So quite a lot of rework of the defensive items there. most of those are quite good. So God Changes. So Athena has had her mobility early game reduced quite significantly. Her ultimate cooldown has gone from 90 seconds at level 1 to 110 seconds. That's 20 extra seconds that you can't be ulting over to solo lane to save someone's butt. So that's quite a significant change. And I think that it's going to take the threat of an Athena, because a lot of the time what you'll see teams trying to do is amass loads of global presence. Say you've got an Athena, an Apollo, and a Thor, or something crazy like that. That's a lot of global presence. Athena brings a lot just on her own. As soon as she hits level 5, she can ult anywhere on the map where there is a teammate. Someone like Apollo is limited severely by his mana. Someone like Thor has an actual sort of physical limit to how far he can ult. Athena, as long as there's a teammate there, she can ult to them. So she can ult literally from duo lane to solo lane at level 5. So to have that on a 110 second cooldown rather than 90 is absolutely crazy. But that reduces down to 90 at max level for the ultimate. So late game, when there's loads of team fights happening, she's still going to be able to get around very, very easily. And it's not really going to nerf her that much there, because 90 seconds is more than a sufficient cooldown in the late game. A lot can happen in 90 seconds, so that's not exactly a problem. But I'm glad they've nerfed the cooldown early game, because that it's going to balance out Athena quite a lot, because she is a top pick support. Fixed a bug with Bologna. I have had that bug before. It is rather amusing, but also annoying, because it usually ends up in you dying, because bugs are bad. But yeah, it was funny, but I'm glad they fixed it. Janus. So, Janus. Oh dear. Janus is the god where you always do the Nor build. Now, Nor, I don't know how you want to say that, is an SPL player who I believe is a substitute for Eager at the moment. Not 100% sure on that one, but I think he is. I think he's also in a management position on that team. So he basically had a build where it was all cooldown. Like, you build cooldown and use the mid, like on Janus mid lane, and you use it as sort of a utility sort of support mid. And I know that Lassis on Eager, who's the mid laner for Eager now, uses that build as well. So basically what you would do is you'd build cooldown on Janus and just portal everything. Ultimate everything. Portal everything. Threshold everything. It just gives your team so much mobility. It's absolutely crazy. But now you still have that mobility. However, the threshold no longer slows as much. Which is really, really good, in my opinion, because you can't have something which buffs your team's movement speed so goddamn much. Threshold is a really underrated ability. You can't have something that buffs you and your teammates' movement speed so much, yet slows 40% when enemies walk over it. Basically, what you could do is, as a Janus, you and your team could escape into the jungle, you could pop the threshold down. No one is going to walk over that, because they're going to lose 40% of their movement speed. They're not going to catch up with you. So it's like, oh, do we wait for that thing to disappear? So you sort of stood there waiting for it to disappear. That thing is not disappearing very quickly. And then you sort of think, oh, well, I'm going to go over it anyway. I can't wait. And then you sort of step over it at the last second and you're 40% slowed. And it's just stupid. So glad they've reduced that. 25% is still a lot. It's still going to be a really, really strong ability, so don't worry about that. And also, the portals, whilst granting loads of mobility to him and his teammates, can no longer basically be used to save butts quite as much, because you can no longer move through them while you're stunned, crippled, or rooted. So in other words, Janus can still portal you out of places, but if you're stunned, crippled, or rooted, you're going to have to wait for that to go. And if you're dead by the time that stun, cripple, or root is worn off, you're not going to be saved by a Janus. So Khepri, another slight nerf here. Increase the mana cost of Rising Dawn, which is basically just going to reduce the amount that Khepri can sort of aid the ADC in clearing lane, because Khepri could clear wave, do a lot of damage to wave and just really help the ADC out, and that would give duo lane a lot of lane pressure, especially in the early games. So that's going to sort of prevent that, because if Khepri keeps using Rising Dawn to help clear the wave, then he's not going to have that much mana left over for being a support, using stuns and his pull to sort of set up kills and stuff like that. So it's going to sort of push Khepri more into the support side, rather than, hey, I'm here to help you clear wave and kill stuff. Yeah, I'm a beetle. Yeah. So bug fixes with Ram. Scylla. So this is pretty damn important. That mana reduction is absolutely huge. So it's gone from 70 at level 1 to 60. 80 at level 2 to 65, and 90 at level 3 to 70. I'm just going to read out those first 3 levels. That's huge. The amount of extra sort of clear and lane pressure Scylla is going to have in the early game, just from that, is crazy. I expect to see Scylla played a lot more in mid lane after this patch, simply because she's going to be able to, like, mana conserve so much, like, more easily. She's going to have loads of mana left over to just keep throwing out 2s, crush, and just pop the heads off minions, and then, yeah, I'll throw one at the enemy mid laner as well, why the hell not, and then I'll throw one at mid camps, and then I'll throw one here, and just throw them everywhere, and clear stuff, and get ahead. So yeah, quite an interesting buff to Scylla. Not entirely sure whether she needed that, but it's certainly going to be interesting to see if there is a massive increase in her being played. So Sun Wukong finally getting a nerf. Not a huge nerf, as I expected he might get, but then again, I guess Hi-Rez don't want to accidentally nerf him into the ground and make him not played anymore. So reduced his starting health from 48, that would be terrible. 48 starting health, no, that would be absolutely terrible. You'd be one hit by literally everything. From 480 to 450. Not a huge nerf, but still making him slightly less tanky and a little bit more sort of sensitive to poke, as it were. And the Magic Cudgel, the infamous Magic Cudgel, it should be renamed, has had its mana cost increased from 50, 55, 60, 65, 70 to 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, which does mean that you're going to have to be a bit more careful in terms of mana conservation when using his Cudgel, because you use it to clear wave if you're solo laning or something like that. So ideally what you should be doing anyway is trying to get your poke off as you clear wave, and you should be doing this on any god, not just Sun Wukong with his Cudgel, but try and get it so that you can hit the wave with the Cudgel, but also hit the enemy solo laner to poke them down and damage the wave all in one. Don't try and poke with separate abilities to clearing wave, because that's how you run out of mana. And that's how you end up absolutely screwed, because you either have to stay on lane, in which case you don't have any mana, and you can't really use abilities to either get yourself out or do anything if the enemy engages on you, and you can't clear waves, so you end up getting pushed under tower and losing farm, or you have to back, which obviously gives the enemy a load of lane pressure and puts them ahead. So try and get your poke combined with wave clear, and you should have a lot better time in terms of mana conservation. And then Master's Will, which is his 2, I believe, has had its mana cost increased from 50 to 60. Not a huge thing there, but again, just sort of reducing the amount that Sun Wukong could just spam out abilities to poke. And finally, we move on to Zeus. So, Aegis Assault, that goddamn shield that they decided to introduce into the game when they redid Zeus. God damn that ability, it's annoying. Reduced the projectile speed from 90 to 70. Thank you, Hi-Rez, so much. That ability was literally impossible to dodge. Like, I mean, I don't have the best reactions. In fact, sometimes my reactions can be quite slow when I'm playing, especially if I'm half falling asleep, which happens a lot. But honestly, that ability is a pain in the arse to try and deal with. I'm so glad it moves slower now. It's going to give you sort of a lot more time to sort of jump out of the way or dash out of the way, which is really going to sort of make Zeus less of a sort of a bully powerhouse in lane. I don't know any point in the game when Zeus has not had something wrong with him. Zeus always has something that needs changing about him. But hopefully we're moving into the days of a more balanced Zeus, because in the past it's just not been balanced at all. It's always something needs changing. But anyway, I'm really glad that they've changed this, because it is going to sort of balance that ability and make it a lot less irritating to play against, let's put it that way. But anyway, so that's it for the video, guys. I hope you found it useful or interesting, or whatever the hell you came here for in the first place. I'm going to leave a link to these patch notes down in the description if you want to sort of read into them yourself. Let me know any opinions you have down in the comments, or any constructive criticism you have. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to see more, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.